I get 80 CS every single game at 10 to 12 minutes. I never die. I get tons of kills. I split push. I do everything right. I lose every single game to Immortal Smurfs the better I play. I made a video on how to get out of Herald, and I said there were only 3 things you needed to be able to do to get out of that bracket. If you don't agree with me, feel free to challenge me on it. So we've got our challenger. He says he does all of this and more, and it does not work. So now we're going to roast him. Now, I said 50 last hits, 15 denies at 10 minutes. This guy in his comment told me he does more than that. He gets 80 last hits every single game by 10 to 12 minutes. So let's do a quick check. We are here at 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and open the last hits. We're looking at Drow here. 39 last hits, 1 deny. You know what? He said by 12 minutes. Let's just go check real quick. Jump up to 12 minutes here. Give one more second. 54 last hits and 1 deny. How about game 2? He is the Phantom Assassin this time. 40 last hits and 6 denies here at 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and check game 3 here. This time we're looking at Dawnbreaker, and would you look at that? 50 last hits at 10 minutes. Just hit that benchmark. Let's go ahead and ignore that 4 denies is not 15 denies and just let it slide for now. Can someone in the comments just let me know real quick, is 50 last hits the same as 80 last hits? Because I requested a benchmark of 50, and we only hit that in one of the 3 games I was given, and I was told that they would all be 80 last hits because he does it every single game. Is 50 the same as 80? Am I NA math? Like, am I missing something here? Debunked right away, 0.1. Let's stop ignoring the fact that he doesn't have the denies I talked about, because I didn't put those numbers in for fun. They mattered. 15 denies is like 500 gold you are denying from the enemy, and they get 50% XP, so you might hit a level ahead of them, and now with that power spike, you might be able to kill them, and now they lose even more gold, and you get gold, and they miss gold because they miss the creeps while they're dead, right? It is a snowballing effect that comes from getting the last hits and getting the denies. Going from 40 to 50 last hits, that is like 300 to 400 gold he doesn't have in these games. Going from 0 to 15 denies, that is 500 gold he is guaranteed denying from the enemy. That's like a swing of 900 gold. That is very significant in the laning stage. And I guess I didn't emphasize it enough in that last video, so I'll do it here. It is a consistency thing. You need to do this every single game over like 100 games, because even without knowing more on like, oh, I don't know the best place to play in the map, I don't know the most efficient build, stuff like that, right? The things you're saying like, oh, you need to know that information to get out of Herald. No, I'm saying you don't need to know that. When you are simply 1,000 or 2 gold over your opponents, you can stumble around the map. They are also stumbling around the map, but you will bump into each other and you simply have 2,000 more gold. You kill that guy and you go from there. It won't win you every single game, but over the course of like 100 games, you will have a positive win rate, and it will be enough to get out of Herald. That's why I asked for a public profile with a lot of games played on it, so I can go and click through every single game to see if that consistency is there. But you sent me 3 games on a private profile, clearly not that great at following instructions based on the last hits, but now here as well. I'm still gonna go ahead and go through it because I'm confident in just 3 games I can disprove all your claims in your comment, but like, we're missing stuff in the instructions here. Let's go through some stuff in the game real quick. So you're a Drow in this game. You didn't buy any items to come out here. Next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna buy 4 slippers of agility, and then you're gonna buy a 5th slipper of agility. Just real quick, Dota 2 Pro Tracker, go look up Drow. You're gonna find that absolutely no one does this build. Lane starts, immediately attacking creeps, trying to push it in, even though no one is here. You get the last hit at least, but you are literally ruining your own equilibrium with no one in the lane. Can't outlast hit your 2 Herald teammates, Immortal Smurf teammates, and that's why it's understandable that you can't outlast hit them, but let's pretend they might be Herald. Well, my advice in terms of practicing CS, not that you have to be perfect, but that if you could last hit versus the unfair bots, that you could probably beat out most actual Heralds. These are Immortal Smurfs again, so we'll forgive you on that, but pretty interesting that the Immortal Smurf decided to try lane down here for whatever reason. So let's, something bad's going on here. Could be a Herald player not knowing what's going on, but it's, probably a Smurf player just choosing to grief for whatever reason. So this is where flexible heroes matter, and Drow is not really a flexible hero. You are eventually going to go to the top lane, which I'm glad you're going to do. But this is just normal. You can't be upset about this stuff, guys. I know you guys are telling me like, oh, my team's so bad, why are we tri-laning the bottom lane? Like, this is why I have no last hits. I get it. It's not ideal. It's not what you see the pros do. This is the reality of Herald, whether you think you're against Herald players or Immortal Smurfs. TPing in the back of the tower, missing last hits, taking forever to decide to come up here. I don't know. Ah, well, it's still because there's 3 people in the bottom. Oh my, what's this? Necrophos with boots first, double clarity, pro Immortal strat right here. Dark Willow carry competing with Lifestealer carry. This is exactly what they teach you in Immortal school. Our teammates might not be very good. Neither are they. It's equal. I just want to point out really quickly that after coming, oh my, that's so embarrassing. We didn't mean to try lane. After Lifestealer TP'd up here, Necro is going to take the portal down to the bottom lane. You know what, Lifestealer, he doesn't like what's going on. He's also going to twin gate down there, as Immortals tend to do. Now let's step back. Once you're in this lane, right, whatever lane you ended up with, let's see how often you're hitting the enemy heroes. Let's ignore last hits, but I'll pop them up just so you guys can keep track of it. Okay, Drow Ranger, really long range hero. Frost Arrows allows you to harass without drawing creep aggro. We are eventually going to get our Slippers of Agility, which are currently running across the map, but it means we're going to have a lot of damage. Currently, we're just sitting way behind, missing last hits. We didn't poke the enemies at all. How about now? We got creeps with us. Are we going to hit Dark Willow? No, we're going to move real far back. Why? So we can buy our first component for the Wraith Band. Missing last hits. Are we going to hit any enemy heroes? We don't need to get that last hit right away. Well, we do if we hit it 3 times to put it in last hit range. Okay, we have a moment here to harass. Are we going to do it? Nope. We're going to, again, hit our own creeps to shove it in. We miss another last hit. Oh, Ogre was hitting the creeps with spells at time. It's going to happen, guys. You watch Immortal games. The spells hit the creeps. It's just a part of laning. Are we going to hit Dark Willow? Are we going to hit Dark Willow? Are we going to hit Dark Willow? Zach, you told me to prioritize last hits. I did. I also told you to prioritize denies, which you didn't go for there. And in between the last hits, when you have a moment, hit the enemy heroes. If you can do so safely, you can do so safely. You're standing like miles away from the creep just to make it as hard as possible for yourself. You have to use Frost Arrows for the extra damage to secure it, even though you have 72 base damage. 1 hit on Dark Willow. Oh, 2 hits, guys. 2 hits on Dark Willow. Immediately back. This is fine. Shoving in the lane. Do we want to harass with this? 1 and done. Okay, are we going to do our own pull? Are we going to help ourselves? We're going to watch. We're going to stand here. Tank a tower shot. Awesome. 21 minutes in, I would just like to point out your build is 5 Wraith Bands into Phase Boots on Drow, going into first item Shadow Blade, in which you've kept these in your backpack for the last 5 minutes. You're now going to sell your Wraith Bands really early because you don't have space for your items. You never bought a wand. You never bought the small stats. Just Dota. Yeah, I'll show you guys, actually. Come over to Dota 2 Pro Tracker, Drow Ranger, click. Let's scroll down. Does anyone see 5 Slippers of Agility at the start? Does anyone see 5 Wraith Bands into Phase Boots? Does anyone see a single pair of Phase Boots? Shadow Blade is not the worst purchase, but notice it's rarely the next item they build. They typically build a Dragon Lance next, and then maybe there's a Shadow Blade, or maybe there's some other items. I want to take a moment to break down some of the comments you left because, 1, it will set the stage for everything we're going to prove you incorrect on for the rest of this video, but 2, I have noticed a trend where people who get stuck in Herald for a long time, or I guess any particular MMR, and they're just stuck there, they tend to use very similar language. Now, yours is actually far more polite than most, so good job there. But the over-exaggeration, the absolute language, the overestimation of yourself, the overestimation of the opponent, it is very common to see in the type of player who is stuck at a given point for a long time. The people who tend to follow up with me and say, hey, I improved pretty quickly after watching your stuff, they tend to say things like, hey, I know I'm not the best player. I'm getting flamed. I don't really know, like, is that my fault? Is that them? Like, what's going on here? Hey, I want to get out of Herald. I know there's a lot I can work on. I know I make tons of mistakes. Can you help me? Right? There's a very humble approach that recognizes I have a lot of flaws. I got to do a lot of work. I give them some ideas for them to work on, and they work on it, and they face that reality. Compared to, I have done everything you have said in this video and infinitely more. Denied right away, and still lose every single game. You do not lose every single game. I imagine you're probably around a 50% win rate. I can't check because, again, not a public profile, but you do not lose every single game. You've literally sent me some you won in Herald no matter what because of 5 high Immortals, not just Immortal Smurfs, high Immortal Smurfs on the enemy team every single game. Do you, like, just take them up. Do you seriously think there are 5 high Immortal Smurfs every single game? There's not a single game You have a new player, an actual Herald on your team or on the enemy team, not even one? Oh, Zach, it's exaggerated language. You're digging too deep into it. How can I help someone, or how can someone help themselves if they do not have an accurate picture of their own capabilities? When trying to improve, this is the most important time to be self-critical. And if this is the best we can come up with, then it's no surprise that we've been stuck in Herald for a really long time. I get 80 CS every single game at 10 to 12 minutes. I never die. I get tons of kills. I split push. I do everything right. I lose every single game to Immortal Smurfs the better I play. The enemy always pushes high ground to end, all caps, end, at around 12 to 18 minutes. Even Yatoro couldn't stop them at this point. Extreme doubt on that statement. 12 minutes in, the enemy Immortals should be pushing to end the game. We are currently out farming the enemy Immortals, even though we are stuck in Herald, and we're not a Smurf, so we know we're a Herald. We are outlast hitting the Immortals. You know, not all of them, but everyone on our team, certainly. These guys aren't Immortals. They're all garbage on our team, but these Immortals outlast hitting them, and the garbage on my team somehow outlast hitting the Immortal Smurfs. It makes sense somehow, guys. Maybe it's not here at 12 minutes. Let's go check 18 minutes. Oh my god, guys, watch out. The throne is still protected by all the tier 2s and the off-lane tier 1. Oh, mid one's gone. Bottom tier 1's. They're about to end. Watch out. This Necro's gonna get us. He's gonna get us. This lifesteal. Oh my god. He's pushing to end. Careful. Watch out. 30 minutes in, the enemy has 6k over us. Looks like a terribly one-sided game. Let's see how you handle the first wave with your first item Wraith Band, Quelling Blade, which gives you more damage in your courier while you wait to buy tangos. Let's see how you handle this. No one is in the lane. Again, going to auto-attack creeps immediately. Push out. Are we going to deny our own creep? Miss. How about this one? Had to use Q for it. Miss. Are we going to hit our own creep deny it? No. Had to use Q. Are we going to get this one? Got that one. So, 3 out of 4. That sounds okay. Literally uncontested. Had to use your spell twice to get the last hits. And you shoved the lane. 2 creeps in. No denies. Looks like at 16.5 minutes, you are hitting that 80 last hit mark you told me about. So can just anyone verify for me, is the 10 to 12 minute mark where he is always hitting 80 last hits every game, is that before or after 16.5 minutes? I just got to double check. I'm from NA. I don't, the math is not my strong suit here. Also note the phase boots. So Alt Tab real quick, pull up that Dota 2 Pro Tracker, scroll up, Phantom Ass, click that, scroll down. Does anyone see phase boots anywhere? Anybody see phase boots? Anyone see first item Wraith Band? Anyone? Anywhere? 18 minutes into the game, I'm noticing a distinct lack of Ancient being killed by the enemy Immortal Smurfs pushing to end at this time every single game. It looks like actually they're pushing for a tier 1 tower. Looks like the second one they'll get here at 18 minutes. It's pretty amazing that they're going to go from this to this in just maybe another 20 minutes, so like 40 minutes. 40 is pretty close to 18. Getting into game 3, this is where you gave me a few more details. For example, you wanted me to keep in mind that during these matches, you were extremely tilted, and even if you won some, these were your worst performances. Why, though? So first, don't play when you're tilted. That's literally just going to make you play worse. Over hundreds of games, you need to bring your best every single time. If you're giving away 5, 10, 20 games for free just because you're playing badly because you're upset, yeah, it's free. I win when I'm feeling good. I lose when I'm feeling bad. Pro tip, don't play when you're feeling bad. Boom, 20 extra free wins. That gets you out of Herald right there. I'm going to take it at face value that these are your worst performances because, again, I cannot verify this because it's not a public profile. So I'm just going to assume that this is true. If this is true, what do you need me for? Don't play like shit. That's my advice. If you know you played like shit these games and you usually play better, don't play like shit. Play better, right? Oh, I missed 20 last hits I usually wouldn't miss. Is it surprising we lost that game? No, we lost last hits. Of course, we played badly. Why do you think you should win this game? You need to consistently play well. You did hit 50 last hits this game. You didn't quite get the denies. You're not really following the whole 3-step plan, although Dawnbreaker is a pretty flexible hero. I'm happy with that. You don't really have a good build, which we're going to talk about in just a second here. But I know you wanted more. I'm a generous kind of guy, so I will give you some extra advice outside of the 3-step plan that, again, you are not really following consistently based on the 3 games we've seen, but Dawnbreaker is a flexible hero. You did get the 15 last hits, so I'll give you a little something to work with here. Step 1, your build's ass. No one starts with Luminosity. Again, I did the bit. I'm not going to do it again. Go check Dota 2 Pro Tracker. No one takes Luminosity till at least level 4. You also keep coming to lane with like no items bought, and then you buy weird stuff. Like, you need to check your builds on both items and skills. You're hurting yourself. Like, when you do get the 50 last hits, you're wasting money on bad builds, and that's like taking away money that you have earned for yourself. Also, go be in these bounty rune fights. They happen all the time in this bracket, so you might as well be there and possibly get first blood. You don't have to risk yourself. Like, you can cut it back a little bit, but you definitely have time to be like around the area, contribute, and then, okay, it doesn't look good or it's done, then come back to lane and like it's fine. Guys, I was speeding through this, guys, look at this. This is Immortal Smurf, by the way. This is Ogre Magi, Immortal, boots first, nothing else, okay? Panics. I gotta get to safety of the tower. Oh shit, not my tower! I can't get over it, guys. Oh my god. Oh, I haven't seen that in so long. Oh man. That is too funny. That is too funny. My teammates are garbage. They're feeding the enemy Immortal Smurfs, and that's why it's so hard for me to win, even with the CS. Allow me to present you Win Ranger, Immortal Smurf. Observe. High-level gameplay. The old Ogre walk-up and hit you strat. The Dawnbreaker with no gap closing ability. You're just gonna get a free kill because she just let that happen. Immortal Smurf, let that happen. You're pinging this guy for taking that last hit. You can't outlast hit an Ogre Magi who walked under the enemy tower thinking it was his own. That says less about Ogre Magi and a lot more about you. Sometimes we look good even when we're doing bad stuff. For example, your build is terrible, items and skill build 2 points of luminosity. Look at this stationary Wind Ranger. She's just gonna sit here and attack an Ogre Magi and allow you to walk up and press Q and eventually kill her. Are you a good player, or is Wind Ranger worse than this Ogre Magi who walked under the enemy tower thinking it was his own tower? Immortal Smurf, garbage. Also Immortal Smurf. These are immortal players. The immortal player under his own enemy tower, an immortal Wind Ranger who stood still against 2 melee heroes. Like, you guys may not like it, but this right here is the Immortal Gatekeeper keeping you in Herald. The guy with 3 last hits as a universal hero with 72 damage. The guy who's going to chase into an Ogre Magi into 7 enemy creeps who doesn't know how to press Wind Run and is going to die to 2 melee heroes. That's the guy keeping us down here in Herald. That's the Immortal Smurf just getting us every single game. This is the guy who's gonna miss last hits and Wind Run body block on his own creep to chase a full health Ogre Magi and then lose all of his health. This is high immortal gameplay. You would kill this Wind Ranger right here if you had a point in W. You would also kill her here if you had a point in W. She's giving you opportunities that you can't capitalize on. The kills you got earlier were because she was garbage, which means eventually you're going to play against Immortal Smurfs who are better than this, and suddenly we're not killing them. So you're beating bad players and losing to good players, and that's why you go bah, 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 bah. It's not force 50%. Your build's bad, and it only works against even worse players. You're gonna walk to gank mid. You had to TP home, like, okay, sure, why not? But Huskar is not the hero I would ever choose to gank. So pretty questionable choice, especially when we've been killing bottom and fairly decent farm. Like, go bottom, keep farming really well, keep killing 2 enemy heroes, or go to the mid lane that's losing, especially when we have Solar Guardian, and we could do both. We could come down here, farm this lane and kill enemy heroes, and we could still show up mid to help kill this Huskar. No, we're gonna walk here and gank. All right, let's see this gank. Too bad we have no slow and gap closing ability. We'll just walk. No, let's try again. Let me walk up and try to press Q again. Fortunately, this Huskar is going to turn his armlet off twice in this fight. I'd like to point out that our global relocation ability, the thing that makes Dawnbreaker cool and unique and strong, we went from here to here. Anyways, let's continue chasing this Huskar. If only we had some way to reach him with some kind of damaging, slow, ranged ability. Don't worry, though. Immortal Smurf Huskar is going to turn off his armlet so he can be killed by Lucent Beam. That's the Immortal Huskar gameplay right there, guys. The guy with 30 last hits. This is a high Immortal player. Now, from there, you're going to jungle. You're going to jungle. Instead of going to the free kill lane, free farm lane, you're going to jungle. This camp you're farming is worth 80 gold. This creep wave, twice that. This kill, 4 times that. Ogre is going to 1v2 down here. Your Immortal Smurf garbage is better than their Immortal Smurf garbage. But you're going to go jungle. You're going to jungle. You're not going to push this tower. You're going to lose your tower first. Versus the lane you were stomping. The lane you have 57 last hits to 10. You're going to give up this lane and willingly lose this lane because you're going to go farm this Centaur camp here. This Wind Ranger right here. This Wind Ranger. This is what scared us out of the lane to go to the jungle. This Wind Ranger right there. For the what was that? 267 gold. You farmed 100 gold camp, 80 gold camp. Now another 100 gold camp. Instead of the 150 creep wave plus like 300 free kills on Wind Ranger if we had an ability to actually get to her and kill her consistently. All right, guys, let's see what an unstoppable high ground push looks like. So we got 2 heroes here, Wind Ranger on the way, 3 heroes coming in, and there's absolutely no way to kill off these creeps. There's no long-range hero. There's no, like, curse, damage over time, AoE ability. There's no, like, Glaive's ability. You know what? Sometimes your teammates are garbage. They don't come. Thankfully, we picked a flexible hero with an ability that can safely wave clear by throwing out the hammer and then backing off, and then waiting for the timer, and the creeps walk in, and then the hammer comes back and it goes, blah, 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 kills all the creeps really nice and easily. Too bad it's level 1. Why won't anyone come defend this tower? Including me. Why won't I go? Why don't I go defend my tower? It can't be done, guys. This is unstoppable. With a slight gold lead in our favor, this cannot be stopped. There's no tower to help us defend it. Where did it go? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was killed when no one would come here, including you. You didn't come here. You're telling me you don't think you can stop this Wind Ranger? You think this Huskar isn't going to overcommit to the tier 3 tower? You think if you guys weren't all here, you couldn't deal with this? Or at least 2 of you? Ogre keeps coming here. God forbid you. Look how fucking easy that was. You instantly killed this Wind Ranger. If you had a tier 3 tower, you just back off at this point. Is Huskar going to take it on his own? He's going to get low from the armlet, and then you're going to jump him with your level 1 Celestial Hammer, but you're going to do it anyways, and he's going to die. High ground defended. Look at that. Look how easy this shit is. They finally came, sure, but you could have been here years ago. You could have delayed this on your own for so long with the proper build of Celestial Hammer, and you would have massively out-farmed them and made your teammates good, because you are farming a full creep wave on your own, maybe ogres here, 50-50 split. They had 3 heroes here. That's 33.33 carry the 3 forever split. You are out-farming them. Your 3 teammates are farming the map. They're farming efficiently compared to the 2 heroes on the enemy team. You alone can make a very good play here that is good for you and is good for the team, but it simply cannot be done. Yatoro would never know to do this. He could not stand here and press W. It's not possible. I'm getting a little worked up. Breather. Let's calm down. Let's wind down. 2 more things I want to break down here. I'm not saying you're wrong or that I'm better than you. Good. You're not. I'm not challenging you in any way, but please understand that CSing alone and the tips you gave will make 0 difference once you get MVP several times in a row. There's a lot to unpack in those 2 sentences. First, I appreciate the polite tone. I don't feel attacked. In fact, thank you. I'm glad that someone challenged me on this because I literally asked for it, and now I get to make a video on it. I hope you don't feel attacked. I know you signed up to be roasted, so hopefully it stayed in that good fun. Viewers, please don't be too harsh. It's always my regret on these types of videos when you guys are so mean in the comments. We're not attacking the person, but I do want to attack the viewpoint because I do think that's incorrect. But I want that to be an opportunity to learn, and then we'll get more good Dota 2 players out there so that our pubs can be better, right? So we're not being too harsh on the person. We're just trying to improve in Dota. MVP does not matter at all. It's a worthless metric. So the fact that you think it matters kind of reflects like the incorrect view on like what's important. MVP is a worthless statistic. There's an MVP in every single game, no matter how garbage it is. Herald, there's an MVP every single match. Immortals, there's an MVP every single match. It just does not matter whatsoever. And then finally, like, you're saying you're not disagreeing with me, but literally disagreeing with me in the same sentence, which is fine. Again, I asked to be challenged on it. That's okay. But like, there is a disconnect on the reality of like what is being said and then what is happening. And I feel like it reflects what I want you to take home. You are saying what you are doing in Dota, and it is not the reality of it. You are not getting 80 last hits. Oh, these are my worst performances, whatever. You don't need to prove it to me. Go look at your own games. Go back through all of them. How often are you actually doing what you said? And how often are you actually doing what I said? Because you certainly don't have the denies in any of these videos. You didn't even have the last hits in 2 of them. And the third one was like bare minimum, quite literally 50. You like, the teacher asked for 1,000 words and you wrote literally 1,000 words and not a word more. Like, if you want to climb, go beyond. That'll be the easiest way to do it. Go beyond the last hits. And again, the last hits themselves, like there was some jungling in there, and those last hits are worth less than the lane creep last hits. You're saying you get tons of kills, and then you're saying you can't get any kills when you're 6 slotted. Like, it doesn't make sense together. You're saying these are all Immortal Smurfs. You're telling me that Wind Ranger was an Immortal Smurf. You're telling me a high Immortal Huskar had 30 last hits at 10 minutes versus a Herald versus another Immortal player. Like, 30 last hits. There's got to be a lot of humility when it comes to improving in Dota, because it is a very hard game. And learning when you can blame your teammates, like blame them, like recognize, yeah, that guy cost me the game. It happens. But you also got to recognize, when am I not doing myself any favors? When am I not improving? I know we could give you more advice outside of those 3 tips to make the climb faster. And I hope to get to that in future videos. I swear I'm working on the Guardian one, guys. It's just slow. There's been a lot of other things. I swear it's happening. But at the end of the day, I still believe that these 3 tips we talked about, if you actually do them consistently, and I'm not talking about like 1 game, I'm not talking about 2 games. Here's 1 game where I did it and I didn't win. That's normal. You will not win every single game you do this. I'm talking about hundreds of games potentially. You always do this. You will bumble your way out of Herald just because when you make all the incorrect decisions, you have more money and more levels than the opponents, and so you win those fights, and you will accidentally win enough games to get out of Herald with just those 3 things. But you can speed it up with future tips, which you can check out somewhere here maybe when they're finally done. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the future.